Jessa Crispin is the founder and editor of the magazines bookslut.com and spoilermag.com. She's the author of the Dead Ladies Project, The Creative Tara, and Why I'm Not a Feminist Manifesto. Jessa recently wrote a New York Times opinion piece entitled, Marrying Him Was Political, Sponsoring His Visa is for Love, and about a whirlwind romance and marriage to Nicolas Rodriguez, who is from Colombia and now the assistant director of the Community Arts Project from the Maryland Institute College of Arts. Jessa and Nicolas are with me today to discuss their relationship, their whirlwind romance, and their experience navigating the American immigration system. Welcome, Jessa. Welcome, Nicolas. How did you guys meet?
On Tinder, horrifyingly enough.
Now, are you on Tinder often, Jessa?
No, but I travel a lot for work.
Uh-huh.
And so it can be hard to find somebody to spend an evening with. So when I'm traveling, sometimes I get weak and download Tinder.
You didn't even meet him in the city where you live. You were traveling in Chicago, I think, right?
Yeah, I was living in Kansas City.
And you were living in Kansas City at the time. And Nicolas, you were living in Chicago as well?
Yes. I was in Chicago doing grad school.
And I believe you super swiped her. Is that the story I'm hearing, right?
That's what happened, you know.
Who said hello first here?
He did.
He did. And what'd you say? Hi, I'm Nicolas.
So the first thing I wrote was something like, I'm a fan.
Wow. That got your attention, right?
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of fans Tindering you?
No.
No.
And I'm a little horrified that worked. That's about me and my ego.
How did you know about Jessa? You followed her writing?
Yes, her book, Feminist Manifesto.
So when you saw her on Tinder, did you know right away this is Jessa, the author that you're so familiar with?
Well, I had to double check.
Where'd you go on your first date?
Cocktails.
And you hit it off right away or no?
No. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't make eye contact. He would only look at, right directly in front of him at the bar.
In my defense,
yes.
I was super intimidated. Honestly, I thought it was a scam. I thought I was going to jump into a bar and there's going to be like a Joe there.
Right.
Fiesta.
You loosened up a little bit and then your real personalities came out and you kind of started to like each other, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, okay, you went out. The second date was when? 12 hours later? 15 hours later?
Yeah.
Literally.
The next night.
The next night?
Yeah.
The next night.
He came to my birthday party.
Really? You invited him to your birthday party, so then you really liked him then?
Yeah.
You bring a gift, or you're like, I only know her 24 hours?
I actually brought a gift.
You did?
And the biggest bottle of wine I've ever seen.
But after 10 days, Nicolas, you proposed to Jessa after knowing her only 10 days. Did everyone say, Nicolas, are you crazy? What are you doing? And then Jessa, did everyone say, you said yes? What, are you crazy?
Yeah, there was some of that.
Some of that? So what was going through your mind, Nicolas? Are you that much of a romantic that you just throw caution to the wind and say, let's go for it?
To the added fact that I was already familiar with her ideas, an aspect of her. After we met in Chicago, the next week I went to Kansas City. Instead of trying to kind of impress the other, we were super honest about everything, about our situation, our ideas, our values, our political views, everything. And that feeling kind of warmed us both to the point that I asked if she wanted to marry me, and she said yes.
I understand from your perspective, Nicolas. I get it. You read a lot of what she wrote, so you had a fuller understanding of the human being who she is because she writes from her soul. She's not writing things that are peripheral to the world, but she's writing about things that are important to her and things that she believes. So you understood her. But Jessa, Nicolas isn't a writer. What was going through your mind when you said yes?
It just made me feel calm for him to ask.
Uh-huh.
I just felt really sure. And part of it was the weekend.
Right.
Of being very upfront with each other about everything. He had told me about his immigration situation on the first date.
So you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, and there was just a lot of honesty and sincerity.
So
and it made sense.
So how did he propose?
So we're big fans of dive bars. So, Do you remember the name of
At Charlie's.
Charlie's, yeah. We're having a couple of drinks, and there was a couple of potato chips. At the beginning, I wanted to ask the question at the end of the night after a lot of drinks, but then I thought to myself, if I ask this question at a lot of drinks, she's gonna think that I'm just drunk,
Right.
whatever.
Right. So you wanted to do it when you were sober still.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the first drink, I was like, "Would you marry me?"
So that's 10 days into your relationship. You guys met over the summer, right, of 2018. When did you guys get married? How long was the engagement to the marriage?
4 days.
4 days. So now you're 14 days into your relationship. You met on Tinder. By the way, does Tinder know about this? This is like the best advertisement for Tinder ever. 14 days into this, and now you guys are married. And did you move in right away together? Did you discuss where you're going to move, where life's taking you?
Yeah, it was disruptive for both of us. I was about a month away from moving to Berlin. And so that didn't exactly happen. And then he got a job offer in a completely different city where either one of us was living, which is Baltimore. So we decided to stay together.
I guess as a writer, you can live anywhere, I guess. Was that
Yeah.
the thinking? And he has his job now at the Maryland Institute College of Arts, so at least he has a physical place he has to go, but you could be basically anywhere. What was the opportunity in Berlin that you gave up?
I'm collaborating with a friend of mine on a series about opera. That's just I used to live in Berlin. It's someplace I feel very comfortable. It's difficult not being there, but I go when I can.
Nicolas, you're originally from Colombia. When did you come to the United States, and why did you come to the United States?
So I moved to the States in 2016, basically for grad school. I was doing a master's in arts administration. I graduated in May of this year. I applied for my OPT because I was interested, in exploring a little bit more of the realm. But at the point, staying in the U.S. wasn't a priority. I just wanted to do my OPT. And then I met Jessa, and then plans changed.
So how did your families react to this? Did they support you? Did your friends support you? Did you have a big wedding? Did people come to watch you get married?
Some people came. It's not where I was living, so I only had a couple friends there. But his friends came out, and his family, they couldn't come. It's very short notice. But his family has been very supportive.
Do you have any misgivings about getting married after meeting 14 days? Because you've now been married about 6-8 months now, I guess, right? Do you look back and you say, wow, that was too fast, or everything worked out perfect so far?
I think it's working out. I wouldn't use the word
perfect. Obviously, you realized that Nicolas had an immigration issue when you got married. You just literally filed your adjustment application recently, I understand. But how has the process been to you so far? Has it been daunting? Has it been easy? Has it been perplexing, frustrating? What would you describe it as?
I think it's been stressful for both of us and confusing. I had moved to Germany in the past, and that's a very straightforward bureaucratic experience. With America, it's much more arbitrary, it seems.
If there wasn't a lawyer involved, I don't know.
You'd still be waiting around to file something.
Yeah.
Jessa, you wrote a piece in the New York Times that has been well received. I saw it was on the front page on the New York Times web edition, titled "Marrying Him Was Political, Sponsoring His Visa is for Love." And that's kind of a juxtaposition on what normally people would say is marrying him was for love, sponsoring him was political. Tell me, and I loved what you wrote, and I actually even sent it to everybody in the firm. Tell us what you mean by marrying him was political, sponsoring him for his visa was for love. Tell the viewers out there a little bit about what you wrote and what you were trying to convey.
I think marriage is much more political than we like to think about, because it is essentially a contract with the state. It's a contract between the two of us, obviously. We file it with the government, and certain rights are passed through marriage.
But sponsoring him because you wanted to make his life better was obviously where the love is. I know you talked about it being easier in Germany than here, but has there been anything that's been surprising to you in the process so far?
There's I would say that it's been surprising how things have been changing in such a period of time. Like every month or so, there was like an additional piece of paperwork that was required, things like that. So that's definitely was a surprise that it's something that's ever changing. It's been rigorous.
How has your piece been received, by the way?
I got a lot of responses from people who've been through this experience and who felt like they couldn't talk to anybody about what was going on, particularly because they felt like they had to perform the perfect relationship to the government.
I guess it's an adventure for you, all right? Because, I mean, you guys just basically, you say, we're going to hold hands, we're going to kiss, and we're going to jump off the cliff, basically, right? Plan on writing more about this, or you want to stay away from this about your personal life and write about other things? We'll see. Tell us about your American dreams, if you've achieved it, what you want to achieve, what you'd like to see for yourself, what you'd like to see for America.
The dream is just having the opportunity. It wasn't my intention when I came to the US. Then I met Jessa, and then I got the opportunity to have this job. And now I see myself here. I see myself developing my work with community engaged practices here in the US. So the dream is only to have a fair shot at it.
I just want to write my books.
That's your dream. That's it. Just write.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about your writing? Where can people see this article?
I'm at jessacrispin.com.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. I really appreciate it. We wish you all the best of luck. You got to study up a little bit on your Stokes interview. It's not really study. You just got to really think about what does everything look like in the home? What are they going to ask me? And don't try to overthink it. We're going to ask you to come back and play a little game with us. We call it the Bradified Marriage. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to write on a piece of paper. And it's going to be like a Stokes interview and see how well you're going to do and how well you're prepared. And, by all accounts, you guys are in a real loving marriage and live together. I'm sure you'll do really wonderful. It's an amazing story. You met each other for 2 weeks. And obviously, there had to have been adjustments made. And here you are 6-7 months later. You basically held hands, jumped off the cliff, and right now, knock on wood, you guys are very happy and grounded. So, it's wonderful. One of the ways to make sure it works out is you got to pass your immigration interview. We have a game here that we play on our show sometimes called the Bradified Marriage. When you go on your adjustment interview, which will be in probably another 18, 20, 24 months, whatever it is, they're going to ask you questions that only a husband, wife, living together would know the answers to. And they want to determine that you married for love. You didn't marry just to give this man a green card, or he didn't pay you to get a green card. One, they ask you questions about your living arrangements. And two, they want to know that you have an economic relationship together, meaning that you jointly commingle your income, and out of that income that you earn, that is commingled, you pay the debts of your marriage, whether it's taxes, credit cards, and that's how they determine whether or not this is a real legitimate marriage. It's the whole basis of this interview. That's what you're waiting on to get your green card. Now, many times you fumble through the interview or the officer thinks there's something fishy going on, they're going to separate you into 2 different rooms. I don't know, Nicolas, if you're familiar from Colombia, but I know Jessa should be familiar with a game back from the 1970s, a game show called the Newlywed Game. Where they would literally put somebody in a soundproof booth and then ask newlyweds a question and see if the spouse can get the answer. In USCIS, they call this the Stokes Interview. They're going to separate you into 2 different rooms, and they're going to ask Jessa about, this is assuming you don't get through on the first time around, and I assume you will, and hopefully you won't get to this stage. But if you do, they're going to ask Jessa about 100 questions about your life and your lifestyle, and they're going to ask you about 100 questions. And then they got to match. And then sometimes they don't match, and then they bring you in and ask for an explanation. We like to call this the Bradified Marriage game. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you about 4 or 5 questions that it's possible, because you never know what you're going to get at that interview. Now, we're not going to separate you into 2 different rooms, but I understand you have a pad and paper in front of you somewhere. And don't show your spouse what you're writing And that's correct, right? We're going to then ask you to lift up the answer at the same time and see how well you, or not well, you guys are going to do. Now, I will say the last couple that we had on that did this, we know are in a legitimate marriage, and they only got 1 out of 5 questions right. So you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. What was the last restaurant the two of you went out to, the name of it, and what did you eat for dinner? That is the question.
Okay.
All right. Nicholas, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So let's put up the paper. The name of the restaurant and what did you eat for dinner is?
It was some Italian place.
Italian place, veal, and Nicholas has no idea what he ate. But you're close. Oh, he said pasta? I just thought blank. All right. I give that. I give that to you. All right, 1 for 1. I give that to you. How many locks are on the front door of your apartment door?
Okay.
You ready? The answer is 3,
What?
and you say 2. You guys are not living in the same apartment. What was the
One
problem?
doesn't work.
We have one that does.
You have one that doesn't work. That's exactly what would happen, why somebody would screw up. That's a question that is 99% of the time always asked. And I've seen people screw up also because there's sometimes a lock, not a lock on the actual doorknob, and they don't count that sometimes as well. Before you go for your interview, and this is for everybody, not only you, but for everybody, you have to walk around your house and be aware of everything in that house. How many locks, colors of furniture, where the air conditioner comes from, where you turn on the heat. All of those questions on your daily, everyday life of living in the house, you're going to be asked specific questions about. Okay. 1 for 2. You ready? For question number 3. What time do each of you generally wake up for work in the morning? What time do you wake up and what time does Nicholas wake up? So you can ask both times. All right, you ready? All right, what do we got? What time do you wake up? All right, 6:30 is him, 7 o'clock is me, and he has the same thing. Congratulations, right? He had the same thing. Congratulations. All right, so that's 2 out of 3. Okay. I would say that I'm going to give you 2 more questions. And if you pass these 2 questions, you got 4 out of 5 right. And the one you got wrong was kind of iffy. I would bratify the marriage and say you'll do fine. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, next question. What is the name of the toothpaste that you use in your bathroom currently? What is the name of the toothpaste that you use in your bathroom currently? And the answer is Colgate, him Colgate, me Tom's. Okay, all right, you got it. That's good, but at least you got Colgate. All right. What? You didn't know Tom's, Nicholas? No. All right, last question, but we'll give that one to you as well. We'll give that one to you as well. The last question. Tell me the names of your in-laws. What are the names of your in-laws? The first name of Nicholas's mom and dad, Jessa, you have to say that. And Nicholas, all right, and obviously, Nicholas, you also have to say the names of what your parents are so we can compare.
Okay.
Are you ready? The 4 names of the in-laws are, let's see, Kathy, Jim, Jamie, Emma, Jack, Kathy. All right, so you missed one somewhere. You got 3 out of 4. You didn't know one of them?
I didn't know. I don't remember his father's.
His father's name. You guys knew enough. You would have passed. Thank you for playing. So I give you a pass, but there are little things like that screw you up, and it really depends on the immigration office. When I was a young lawyer, I went on a Stokes interview, and it must have been my first or second interview, and they asked the couple, what did you do for dinner last night? And the guy said he went to McDonald's, and the other woman said, we had hamburgers. And the officer said, no, you got that question wrong. I'm like, what, are you out of your mind? They ate hamburgers at McDonald's, and I went crazy, okay? So sometimes you get officers who are literally want to see the same exact words because they got blinders on. So you really have to really think about it ahead of time before you go to your interview. You got plenty of time, but you did really well. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about your relationship. It's really amazing. You guys met on Tinder in 2 weeks. You got engaged. A month later, you were already married and filing papers for your green card. Your entire lives have changed. It sounds like they've changed for the better. So congratulations to you both. Jessa, you wrote a wonderful article about your experience to date in the New York Times, and I read it, and I thought it was really wonderful. So congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on.